Well, this right here is a small sampling of my comics that I have. Sorry, my bed's a bit of a mess. I usually do that to prevent myself from going back to sleep whenever I wake up. I gotta go to work at 5:30 today, so I guess I squeeze in an ASMR video while I can. This right here is a small sampling of my comic book collection. I've got quite an impressive number of comics, you know. More comics than a comic store, if you know what I mean. Plus that little pile over there. Yeah. Well, you know, classic titles like Batman and Iron Man. Now, these two were pretty interesting because I got it a free comic book deal, like free comic book day or whatever it was. And this right here, Superman comics are Funeral for a Friend, which is basically, I think, where the Man of Steel is like dead or something. G.I. Joe Reloaded. You know, there was a comic series about G.I. Joe for a long time. It was more intense than the cartoon ever was. And like, when the cartoon went off in 1993 or 1994, everyone, all the fans had to flock to the comics. I must also state that the toy license for G.I. Joe lasted for such a long time. From 1980 to 1994 was when the original toy line lasted. For anyone who's curious about that. And then they had the Sergeant Savage and the Screaming Eels and so forth and so on. I mean, the 90s were a very interesting time to be alive. I mean, check this out. I mean, Spawn was basically gaining momentum in the 90s, as was the X-Men cartoon. It was pretty cool back then. I've watched the cartoon myself. It was pretty badass. There was one episode where they introduced Nightcrawler, and he was, you know, a religious kind of guy. Oh yeah, 2099. I've got a couple of issues of 2099. I must state that it was a very interesting concept. Like, it was like, what was the incarnation of like the X-Men? It was like the incarnation of the X-Men in like the year 2099, and it was a very interesting thing. Very interesting concept. And oh yes, let me zoom up on this one as well. Action Comics. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but that's issue 1004. Amazing how it's still going strong after all these years. Pretty interesting concept, if you ask me. Now, let me move the camera over to this side, and we can look at some of the comics that I've got over here. Like I said, I've got quite an impressive archive of comic books. You know, after all these years, you know, I've even got an impressive archive of manga to go along with it as well. But since I want to make an ASMR video, I figured I'd make an ASMR video right here, right now. Midnight Suns. Now, I've got one of the Midnight Suns comic books over there. It's like part 4 of 6, and this one right here was part 3 of 6, so I basically got the issues, you know. So when someone says I've got issues, I really do have issues. DC Legion of Superheroes, the new 52, I'm not sure what that means. It's just basically you have comic books coming out left and right. So one can say that there's always new comic books being written upon left and right. I don't even know most of the new superheroes anymore. War of the Gods, first issue. I recognize Superman, Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, or Shazam. There's Dr. Fate. And there's, for those of you who are familiar, it's Aquaman and Flash, and I think that's Lobo in the corner right over there. Oh, and there's Batman too. I mean, there's so many storylines. So many storylines and what have you going on that it's not even funny. I mean, the 80s was the silver age of comics. But truth be known, or wait a minute, it was 1991. So that was first issue of that storyline. In fact, to be honest with you, I really don't like different continuities. I'm the kind of person that believes in one continuity. Just make one continuity and stick to it. Don't have 20 different comic books of the same character, 20 different comic storylines involving the same character in different worlds and everything. That to me just really confuses the hell out of me, and it ain't what I'm into. Stick to one continuity, okay? Alright, Armageddon, the Alien Agenda. Okay, issue 1, the epic saga continues. I'm not sure about that. Brigade. Now, I've got 2 of the Brigade issues. This is Brigade issue 1. This is Brigade issue 1. I've got issue 2 right over there. And that's issue 0. So I've got quite an impressive archive here, like I said. Flash Annual Bloodlines. He strikes from the shadows. Argus. Okay, that goofball right there, and this guy right here. Quite an impressive, thick comic. To tell you the truth, I like Japanese comics a lot better than I do American. Because they're more, you know, the artwork is more intense and the storylines are more driven. And there's one continuity. Another Legion of Superheroes comic. That guy looks like he can make guns out of his flesh or something. And who's that goofball? I don't know. But it seems I've got another Legion of Superheroes. Attack of the Dominators. Yeah. Pretty impressive. Power Man and Iron Fist. Whatever. I'm just... Flash, the fastest man alive. Okay, first issue. Good grief, how many first issues do they have of this? It's just... I love pop culture. I love comics. But y'all really need to just make storylines that can be resolved in 20 issues and be done with it. I'm sorry, but I guess it's because of my admiration of Japanese cartoons and how 10 episodes is a series. A new Legion of Superheroes. Impressive. It took a legion to bring down the Renegade. So why is Chemical Kid facing him alone? Wonder who's Chemical Kid? Now we're talking Marvel Mangaverse. Let's see, I see what appears to be Captain America, Tigra, Wasp. I think that's Bruce Banner. It is. And there's Iron Man or Iron Woman. And there goes the Hulk. And that, I believe, is Doctor Strange because of his circular incarnations. The Kents. Now, this is a very interesting story right here. The Kents takes place in, like, the Civil War in regard to Clark Kent's family, like, fighting in the Civil War. So that's pretty interesting family. Pretty interesting. Oh, and that illustrates how old this comic was. It was released in 1993. Wait a minute. August of 1997. That was a magical year, 1997. And here we have is another manga. Marvel Mangaverse. This, I believe, is supposed to be the Fantastic Four, and I think this is supposed to be Star-Lord of some kind. I really don't know. To anyone that knows who these... I know those over there are the Fantastic Four. But who's this guy supposed to be? I know one of those are supposed to be the Observers and everything, but who's this goofball supposed to be? I really don't know. Legion of Superheroes, Volume 8, or Issue 8. Fatal Consequences. Good grief, that guy's got 3 or 4 rows of teeth. And who is she supposed to be? On that goofball right there. That guy's got 3 eyeballs. Alright, first. Blaze. Okay. August 1. Fantastic first issue. Impressive. And it appears someone made a comic series about Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game. And that was supposed to be Ender. Quite impressive. You know, very impressive story. I've heard it was very great. I never read the book, but I would like to actually see the movie. And now I've got... I'll just do it this way. Legion of Superheroes Issue 8. Welcome back to China, Dragonwing. Prepare to die. They must go to China in that one. And this right here is nobody... It says nobody can cross the deadly sea of fire. Looks like somebody is burning. And this right here was made during a time when there was some difficulties in the Horn of Africa. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. This is actually the first time I've went through this portion of my comic book collection. In all open honesty, I've got a bigger collection than this. So to be honest, and to be fair, I'm not even sure where to begin. In fact, I've got a lot of comics and mangas and a lot of books. A lot of books. Oh. And yes, that's my underdrawers. I wear boxers. Yeah, it is what it is, you know.